I heard the door and boots go far. The walls got quiet, then creaky, then bad. Then the voice came down from the dark. It wasn't the kind that says my name. It didn't wait for me to come. It grabbed my arm too hard, too quick, and said, "You tell him anything, you're done." I didn't say it, I didn't, I swear. But he still pushed me down the floor. I hit the part that makes me cry, the hip that makes it hard to walk no more. I curled up small, I held my face. He shouted words I can't repeat. The floorboards felt like fire then, and I tasted something on my teeth. I didn't know when he left again. I just heard doors and wind and creaks. I stayed real still, 'cause if I moved, the red part on my ribs would speak. I didn't know if Uncle's back. I didn't call, I didn't dare. I just curled up and shook and thought, please not the basement, not down there. Then came boots, but soft this time. They didn't hit the ground the same. They stopped and turned and rushed and dropped, and the voice said, "Michael," like my name. I didn't lie, I really tried, but all I did was cry and cry. He touched my back, I flinched, he stopped. I shook my head and tried to lie. Then that bad voice came back again, all fake and slow and sweet and clean. It said I slipped down all the stairs. It said it wasn't ever mean. Poor kid's been bumping into everything. That voice said low, then laughed real light. You oughta teach him better balance. Uncle's voice came back like night. He didn't shout, he didn't curse. He just said 13 steps, you'd think I'd forget. Boys his size don't bruise that way. But then he stopped, he hadn't proved it yet. I was working, Uncle muttered. You were gone, the bad voice said, all smooth. And I just sat there, cold and shaking, trying not to say the truth. I don't know what Uncle believes. I only know he wiped my cheek. He didn't say the voice was lying, but his hand stayed on me all that week. He didn't ask, not out loud. He tucked the blanket near my knees. I didn't tell, not out loud, but he was quiet next to me. I whispered, "Uncle, He said, I'm here, and not the way the bad voice lies. He didn't touch my bruises then, but somehow he still found my eyes.
You asked if you were in trouble. I shook my head and soaked the rag. You flinched before it touched your skin. It's warm, I said, just feel, don't ask. You whispered, don't pour water fast. I dipped it slow behind your ear. You said, I'm listening for the slap. I said, not here. I opened just the window crack. The curtain moved, you turned your head. Is that the wind, you asked, then froze? Will it push me back instead? No, I said, and touched your hand. It's soft, it's safe, just let it near. You smiled and said, it smells like trees, and no one's here. Steps, your fingers wide along the rail, 1 foot, then 2. 13 you asked, I said, that's right. You said I didn't fall, not through. You missed the chair, I pulled it close. You said and reached, but missed the plate. I don't know where the spoon is yet. I said I'll wait. I wrapped your hand around the stem, then helped you lift and find your mouth. It's soup you asked, I said it is. It's warm, you smiled, it didn't shout. You took a second on your own. You spilled a bit and wiped your knee. I didn't cry, you said, half proud. I said, I see. You said, what's a kalu mean again? I smiled and brushed your hair aside. It means I'm yours, that I won't leave. You nodded once, even tried to hide. So not a dad, but sort of still. You asked and fumbled for my sleeve. You're mine like that, yes, I said low. And you're with me. You said sometimes I forget the name. Kalu or uncle, are they the same? I knelt beside you, touched your knee, said they both mean you belong with me. You tried them both, then whispered low, Uncle Kalu, they both feel warm. I said call me whichever one you want. You smiled and said I'll use them both. I placed the bird into your hand, the one you used to clutch at 3. You felt the wings, then touched the beak. Is this from? I said it's me. You held it close and didn't speak. Your thumb traced wood you couldn't see. You whispered it remembers me. I said it does. And so do I. Lift your hand, the edge is straight. Feel the corner, don't push weight. You breathe and say, it moved, I think. But nothing's moved, it didn't blink. That's the rug beneath your toes. You press and ask, the floor it knows. I say it doesn't pull or bite. You flinch and ask, is that a light? The bed is safe, your foot is near. Don't let him hear me, don't let him hear. I hold my breath, you try to stand. Your fingers miss and graze my hand. You tap the wall, then step away. It isn't where it was today. I guide you back with voice alone. You whisper walls don't stay like stone. Step by step, my little one, just one then one again. You don't need to see it all, just walk ask me soft, is this a trick? No tricks in here, no test to win. Just walls and breath and folded skin. You count out loud a beat, I guess. 1, 2, then pause. I don't know this. You turn too quick, the corner bites. I didn't mean, don't tell, alright. I never move to scold or strike. You whisper, wait, this feels like nice. You brace like love might tear instead. I only place your hand and said, the table's near, just reach your side. You press and murmur, can I hide? You mean beneath your trembling skin. I say, you're safe, you're in. Step by step, my little one, you're stronger than you seem. You ask, are you the real one now? I say, this isn't dream. No voice will vanish when you cry. No hands will make you bleed. You say, but what if I forget? Then I'll be what you You move like sound might make you break. Like even warmth could be a fake. You reach like comfort might explode. Like kindness swings or overloads. You say, I think I used to run. I say you stand, that's brave. You asked, can I be someone else? You are, you don't need saved. Step by step, my little one, the dark won't take your name. I can't undo the things he did, but I can shift the flame. You ask, is this what safe feels like? I nod and hold your sleeve. You say, I didn't think it stayed. And I say, some things don't leave. I placed it gently in his palm. No words, no name, just shape and calm. He turned it once, then held it tight. A bird he couldn't bring to light. He couldn't see, but still he knew that something here had once been true. He did yours, my little one.
It's cold again, it always is. The air feels big and deep, but Uncle's here. I hear his breath, that means he's gone to sleep. It sounds like wind, but soft and slow, like when I count to 10. It goes out long, then pulls back in. It's Uncle, that's his breath again. I have a blanket, soft and red. He said, throw it away. Not Uncle, the other one, the one I'm scared to disobey. But I didn't, I kept it quiet. I folded it small and neat. I hid it deep in my dresser drawer, where monsters keep their feet. The drawer's loud, it creaks and pops if you don't pull it slow. But I can do it, I practice lots. Uncle doesn't know. My feet are bare, the floor is cold. I walk real slow, not fast. One hand on wall, one foot then next. I don't want to fall past. I dragged it like a tail behind. It bumped and made a sound. I didn't want to wake Uncle, just put it on the ground. I held it out like hugging arms. It didn't go on right, but I still spread it on his back. I tried, I used my night. I tripped a bit and bumped his side. I felt him move a bit. I whispered, sorry, in my mouth, but didn't really say it. He felt so big and warm and still. I spread it just like this. One corner here, one corner there, like how he fixed my wrist. Then I turned back to find my bed. It's tricky when you're blind. The sides are gone, the space is big, and pillows like to hide. But then he said, my little one, and I knew it was okay. He picked me up like holding clouds. I proved. I brought the blanket just to help. It's red and soft and small. He said I gave him something more, but I just tried is all. He pulled it up and covered me and made the room feel near, and said, "You gave me something kind. You gave what I can't hear." The floor is quiet, breath is slow. I know he didn't go. I curl my toes and pull my bird and say, "Uncle, reload." "Your turn, uncle, you can't see." He bent right down and grinned at me. "If I can't see, then who will guide me?" I said, laughing, "Stay inside." I pulled the blanket round his head. It mussed his hair and ears instead. He ruffled mine, his smile was wide. I tucked it close and pressed the side. My hand and keep it slow. I'm not quite sure which way we go. We took one step, then brushed the wall. He chuckled low, "That's not a fall. That's my wooden bird. It should be near, or maybe wait, it's over here." His palm stayed warm, his fingers sure, like I could lead him, I was sure. "Careful here, there's something, oh, that's just my sock from weeks ago." He gasped out loud, nearly my doom. I laughed so hard it shook the room. He took a step, his foot caught mine. We wobbled once, but it was fine. "You trying to trip me?" he teased low. Maybe I grinned, but you're too slow. "Now duck down low, they might sneak through. Don't worry though, I'll guard us too." He bent down slow, still holding tight, and whispered, "You're my eyes tonight." I led him wide, the blanket swayed. It brushed my side where footsteps strayed. They can't get past my wall at all, not while my uncle's safe from all. He took a step, then stopped and swayed and whispered, "Uh-oh, I'm afraid." I caught his sleeve, "Just follow me, I know the way. I think maybe." He bumped the chair, I pulled him near. He gasped, "You saved me, Captain, here." I grinned, "See, told you I could steer." He squeezed my hand, "I'm safe in here." We found the bed, or close enough. He sat down first, the landing rough. The blanket wrapped us both in tight. I leaned on him, the room felt light. He said, "You kept me safe this round." We both stayed safe, and that's what counts. His arm came round, I leaned in near. The dark felt small when he was here. Up slow, Okay, don't move, I'll help you now. You've paid your dues. The blanket slipped back from his hair. He saw the room, I still just stared. He looked at me, his smile warm, and pulled me close. His arms the storm. Even if I can't give yours back, you've got my eyes for what you lack. I held on tight, no words to speak. The night felt soft, the dark felt weak. And though my world stayed hidden still, he made it bright, he always will. He took my hand and said, "Go on." I didn't move. He said, "It's fine." I said, "I don't know where to start." He said, "Just follow every line." I touched his nose. He didn't move. I poked it once. He stayed right there. I said, "It's big." He said, "It's strong," and made a growl to shake the chair. I laughed and leaned against his chest. He said, "You're heavy for a mouse." I said, "You're grumpy, but you stay." He said, "That's not even loud." I traced his brow. I found his eyes. I felt them blinked beneath my hand. He held real still. He let me learn and let me touch until I'd scanned. He didn't pull away or flinch. He said, "I'm here, don't rush it slow." And when I curled into his arm, he said, "You always find me go." I said, "You're safe, you never leave. You let me hold, you let me stay." He didn't speak, just squeezed my hand, then whispered, "Say that once more, okay?" I found his beard, it scratched my palm. I said, "It's spiky." He said, "Sharp." I asked, "Do you have monster teeth?" He growled and bit the air too hard. I laughed so loud I dropped my hands. He caught them both and kissed the tips. He said, "I've scared 100 beasts, but none with such small fingertips." I poked his cheek. He raised one brow. I said, "This part feels like a hill." He said, "It's where I keep my frown," and made it twitch until I squealed. right. I turned my head, I guessed too far. He touched my chin, now look at me. His hand was warm, his voice a star. There's sunlight here, he said real low. Can you see it, even just the shade? I blinked and stared at where he was. It wasn't black, just sort of gray. He paused a bit, then rubbed my hair. He said it's working, little one. I whispered, really? He just smiled. You're finding where the light comes from. I held his sleeve. I said, I'll wait. He said, no rush. I said, I know. Then told him soft, when it comes back, I wanna see your face first though. He didn't talk, just pulled me close. I felt his chest, the rise, the fall. His arms went round me, warm and safe, like nothing bad could reach at all. He rocked me slow, my head was tucked against his neck, beneath his chin. He hummed a sound I didn't know, but all of me felt home again. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. He didn't yell, he picked up me. His coat was scratchy, warm and white. He held me close, I didn't fight. The shed door creaked, the hammer clanked. He said, we'll work, no need to think. He set me down beside a box. It smelled like sawdust, paint, and chalk. He said, that's yours, your box of cards. I sniffed, I touched the corner sharp. A cold thing clicked, my fingers jumped. What's that? I asked. He said, chomp. I blinked, that's not a name. He grinned, you name it, then go on, begin. I said, it's crab, it bites and clacks. He said, then crab it is, I'll ask. The next one buzzed, I flinched, then froze. It's mean, I said, it spins and glows. He clicked it once to show the sound. I laughed a bit, it spun around. He said, what name? I said, Zep. He nodded once, a lightning snap. The stringy one, all twist and loops. I said, that snake, it hugs in hoops. He said, Clamp's the name. I shook my head. No snake is better, Clamp sounds dead. He let me squeeze it, that one's yours. It hugs too hard, I said, it snores. He laughed and tapped it on my chest, then let me name the rest. dust off both my sleeves, then said, "You helped more than you'd believe." He took my hands and cleaned them slow. The water warmed, the splinters low. He hummed a tune I didn't know, but it stayed still and made me glow. He didn't speak, he just held tight. He cleaned each nail and checked the light. He dried them off and softly said, "We'll work again, then rest and bread." We tiptoed back with no shoes on. The porch was cold, the lights were gone. He didn't talk, just held me close and lifted me like warm and slow. He shut the door, then locked it tight. He knelt to help me out of fright. I crawled in bed and so did he. He wrapped his arm and breathed with me. I whispered, "Uncle, just once small." He said, "I've got you, that's all, that's all." I touched his beard, he kissed my cheek. I said, "You stayed the whole last week." He said, "I'll stay for all the rest." Then pulled me close, chest to chest. And right before my dreams came slow, I said, "You're safe, so now I know." He squeezed my hand, then kissed my brow and whispered, "You can sleep now." I sat real still, my legs were cold, my feet just dangled like before. Uncle stirred, the spoon went round. I listened close, I knew that sound. "Is it morning?" I said small. He said, "It's close, not mad at all." I held the bird he made for me, the only thing I know by feel. Then came the steps, that fake warm step, that sugar voice, that sharp pretend. I dropped the bird, it hit the floor. I felt it snap, I said no more. He picked it up and bent the wing. He said, "You cling to stupid things." He said, "A boy don't need a toy." Then broke it, said, "I was just noise." The table creaked when I sat down. I didn't talk, I made no sound. He said, "Still crying, useless brat." I bit my lip, I stayed like that. Uncle wiped my hands and face. I flinched, but he just held his place. He didn't yell, he helped me eat. His voice was soft, his words were sweet. He carried me, my ear to chest. I felt his breath, I guessed. Was he upset? Did I do bad? I didn't mean to make him sad. "Is it dark up here?" I said. He whispered, "Only in your head." I said, "I didn't break it right. I didn't even hold it tight." He set me down and fixed the sheet. He tucked it gentle by my feet. He brushed my hair, his hand was warm. I knew that hand that meant no harm. I didn't cry too much, I said. He laughed just once and kissed my head. He stayed a while, he held my hand. but not for long. The room was still, the floorboard creaked. He came back in. He didn't talk. I stayed in bed, but heard the trash, the softest tread. The bird was broke, the wing was bent, but Uncle kept the peace I meant. He thought I slept, I didn't move. He didn't know, I always knew. He touched the desk, he closed a drawer, then sat back down and breathed once more. He didn't fix it right away, but now I knew he'd save the wing. And even if I couldn't see, he'd never throw away my things. Next day he cleared the table space. He set the bird and glue in place. He said it's cracked, but not all through. Then took my hand and guided to. Feel this edge, he said it fits. He helped me press the broken bit. It's not like new, he said, not quite, but close enough. It still takes flight. I touched the wing, it felt like more like something back that left before. He said it's yours, I held it tight. It didn't hurt, it just felt right. I didn't smile, I didn't speak, but leaned my head against his cheek. He didn't ask me how I felt, just breathed real soft and stayed and knelt. It was loud, like the roof fell down. Then Uncle didn't make a sound. The bad voice laughed and stepped away. Said he's fine, he'll be okay. But he's not fine, he's on the ground. I call his name, he makes no sound. I crawl real slow, my hands out wide. I touch his shoe, then touch his side. Uncle, please just talk to me. I pat his arm, I count to 3. I shake him once, I shake again. Don't be asleep, please wake up then. He's breathing weird, his head feels wet. I don't know what to do just yet. Okay, okay, I'll go get cloth. I'll do it like you showed me soft. I hit my knee, I bang my head. I'm crying now, I'm not in bed. Remember stairs you made me count, 13 down, then turn around. Remember soup you let me taste, even the ones I didn't face. Remember you sat on the floor at night and didn't take blankets till I got it right. I've got the bird, the wood's still warm. You fixed it when it broke before. I put it in your hand this time. I hope it makes you open your eyes. You can't be gone, I say again. You promised me we'd feed the friend. I heard him walk, I heard him grin. The bad voice said you fell right in, but I could tell he made you fall. He didn't care, not care at all. He shut the door, he left me here. I don't know if you're gonna hear. Your hands are cold, I'm giving mine. I'll keep you warm, we'll be just fine. I'm scared to sleep in case you go. I'm scared to blink in case I know. Please wake up, Uncle, please don't go. I say it soft, I say it low. If I could see, I'd go outside. I'd scream for help, I'd run, I'd fight. But I'm not big, I'm not that strong. So I'll stay here all night long. You kept me safe, you held my hand. Now I'll be the one who stands. I press my head against your chest. I count each breath and hope for next. I'm not gonna leave, I whisper slow. Not ever, Uncle, please don't go. Uncle's cold, he's not awake. I held his hand, I stayed up late. I gave him my coat said, don't go. I said, don't worry. I sang the songs you sing to me. I whispered soft, I counted 3. But you didn't move, you didn't talk. I curled up close and tried not to sob. Then the door slammed, he came back in. The bad man's boots went clomp again. He crouched by me, he touched my knee. I pulled away, I couldn't breathe. He said he's fine, you want him saved. Then call for help, be real brave. But if you call, he won't come back. That's how it is, that's just the fact. He put a phone down by my feet, said call them now or take a seat. I didn't talk, I didn't move. He walked away, I couldn't choose. I held the phone up to my face. I touched the buttons just in case. My hands were shaking, so were my knees. I whispered, please, please, please. I wanted to say he's bleeding bad. He needs someone, I need my dad. He's not my dad, but he's the one who stays, the one who comes. Please don't let him die tonight. He always brings me soup and light. But I stopped, my throat went tight. The phone was loud, the barn too quiet. Then something moved under my hand. His fingers twitched, I couldn't stand. I dropped the phone, I crawled and cried. Uncle, Uncle, you're alive. I touched your nose, I touched your hair. I felt your lips, you were still there. I pressed your chest, I squeezed your arm. You're not allowed to ever be gone. I shook and shook, I cried out loud. I hugged your shirt and wiped my mouth. You said you'd stay, you promised me. You can't just go, you can't just leave. Then I heard it, just one word, soft and scratchy, just barely heard. Mikhail. I yelled and hit you in the side. Why'd you scare me? I thought you died. I laid on you the whole night long. I gave you soup, I sang your songs. I even gave you birdie too. You didn't move, I thought I'd lose. You touched my back, you held me tight. You be your eyes, I whispered close. I'll keep you safe, just like you showed. You said I'm brave, you said I'm smart. Well, I was both, my whole heart. I didn't scream, I didn't run. I stayed with you till morning sun. So now it's your turn not to go. Please don't leave me, please say no. You pressed your hand against my cheek. Your fingers shook, you tried to speak. I curled up close and closed my eyes and whispered one more tiny line. If you fall again, I'll catch you then. If you sleep too long, I'll count to 10. If you go quiet, I'll hum our song. But don't go, Uncle, don't be gone. Your arms were tight, you didn't shake. You kept me close, you didn't break. The floor was cold, the air was red. The blizzard pushed against the shed. Your coat was blood, your voice was low. You said, don't move, just stay, just hold. I nodded once, I clung, I stayed. But then the metal slid and swayed. That voice again, it grinned, it lied. You want him dead, then stay and try. Let go of him, or take your shot. I'll count to 10, then call the cops. You held me tighter, pulled me in. I hid my face beneath your chin. I shook my head, I whispered no. I felt your hand, you wouldn't go. But then he laughed, that hard slow sound, the kind that makes the walls sit down. He clicked the gun, he tapped your side. He said, it's me or let him die. I curled in deep, you held me firm. Your fingers warm, your jaw was burn. I whispered, Uncle, please just run. You said, you're mine, I'm not done. But he leaned in, he grabbed my coat. He said, come on, you know the note, you know the cost, you know the deal. You want him safe, then go out real. I cried, I clawed, I kicked your chest. You didn't let me sit, not yet. But I kept pushing, kept my weight, until your hands began to break. I screamed, I have to, he's gonna shoot. You said, no, Mikhail, stay put. Your breath was wrong, you couldn't move. Your body shook, you held me true. But then he helped, that awful hand, it pulled my leg, it helped me stand. You tried to grab, you said my name, but I was up and you were chained. I couldn't see, the wind was steel, but I felt snow beneath my heel. I stepped down slow. said, "No, Mikhail, please don't go." I shook, I sobbed, "He'll shoot you though." You begged again, you said, "Don't leave." But I was blind and full of grief. I held my arms like you had taught. I counted steps, I took the spot. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just obeyed and walked through hell. The snow was tall, it bit my feet, it stole my breath, it cracked my teeth. I didn't know which way to go, I only knew I had to show I wasn't weak, I wouldn't cost. I'd take the cold, I'd take the frost. You gave me love, I gave you pain, so now I'll pay, I'll take the blame. Behind me, boots, that gun still cocks. You screamed again, you hit the lock, but Mitchell laughed and let it ring. Too late, he said he did the thing. He shut the door, the bolt went tight. I hit my knees, I lost the light. I crawled and curled beneath the tree and whispered, "Please, come find me, please." You broke the door, you hit the snow, you couldn't run, you lived, you choked, you called my name, you couldn't see, you cried out once, then two, then three, but I was gone, my fingers blue, still waiting there, still loving you, still whispering inside the white. I didn't want to leave that night. The wind was teeth, it barked, it bit, it pushed me left, it pulled me right. My arms were up, like Uncle said, but no, he wasn't at my head. I didn't know which way was door, I didn't know what snow was for. It wasn't soft, it wasn't light, it punched, it kicked, it barked like fight. The ground was gone, my foot went low, it slid on ice, then bit the snow. I caught my breath, I gasped, I whined, I called for you, but not in time. I said, "Uncle," small and sore, but boots were gone and gone was floor. My mittens dripped, my coat was wet, the sky fell down, my socks were red. I held my coat, I pressed my face, I tried to find a safer place, but snow got loud and sky got wide. It scraped my ears, it stole my sight. The guy was blind, it stole it twice. It took the shape of sound and ice, it made me dizzy, cold and wrong. It made me hum a broken song. I whispered 10, I whispered 9, I touched my face to find the line, but everything was spinning bad, like that one time when I got mad. The cold went up inside my sleeves, it touched my chest, it made me heave. I said, "You're fine," just like before, but wind said no and closed the door. I sniffed, I coughed, my breath came tight. I pressed my mouth, my chest said fight. My lashes stuck, my knees gave out, my fingers curled, my legs said doubt. I tried to walk, I tried to crawl, but nothing worked. I felt too small, my hands were numb, my coat was stuck. The wind said mine, the frost said luck. I curled beside a stump or chair, I didn't know, I didn't care. It smelled like bark, it felt like wood, but not like home, not like it should. I said your name, I said it twice, I said it soft like melted ice. Kalulu whispered in my throat the way I said it when I broke. I said I'm here, I said I'm lost. I didn't yell, I knew the cost. I thought I heard the door unlock, but maybe it was just a rock. I wished I'd stayed, I wished I'd cried, I wished I'd lied, I wished I'd tried, I wished I'd begged for him to wait, but I had walked, so this was fate. I pressed my mitten to my cheek, I bit it hard, I didn't speak. I closed my eyes, they're always closed, and waited there beneath the snow.
The wind was white, the shed went still. The lock slid shut, he'd had his fill. The sound of boots was distant gone, but silence said, he's moving on. I kicked the door, the frame held fast. I braced, then struck, the hinges cracked. My chest still hurt, my legs were weak, but rage is strength when love can't speak. The cold hit hard like fists of chalk. The snow rose high, I tried to walk, but all I saw were prints that dragged. Then nothing, just the way wind bragged. Mikael out, I called again. The pine said no, the storm said when. His name went thin across the air, a sound too soft to pierce despair. The prints were gone, the trail was blind. My hands were red, I didn't mind. I cupped the wind, I scanned the white. I called again, I called with fight. I dropped my weight to ground and crawled. My knees dug through, I slipped, I sprawled. Little one, where my voice went raw. I saw a mitten, but it was not. My coat hung open, arms still bare. He'd left, it left me out of care. He climbed down, God, he let him win. That coward made him choose again. My my soul, please hear my voice. You did not fail, you had no choice. I wrapped him tight, I rubbed his skin, I braced my back, I pulled him in. I kissed his head, his ear, his spine. I said, you're here, you're still all mine. I wrapped my coat around his frame. I tried to run, I made it haste. His hand was limp inside my glove. I said his name like prayer, like blood. Mikhail, 10 Mikhail, 5, you hear me, son, you stay alive. The house was locked, the barn was too. The shed stood wrecked, its shelter through. No keys, no fire, no place for heat. But still my truck was down the street. I held him tight, I ran like war. His cheek was ice, my ribs were sore. I saw the cab, the windshield rimmed. I said, just breathe, just wait with it. The doors were shut, the world was I. My breath turned sharp, my chest went twice. I yanked the handle, locked, of course. The glass just grinned with frozen force. I searched the snow, the shed was gone. Its bones were splinters, drawn and wrong. But there a bar, a piece of frame, a rusted shard without a name. I wrapped my hand, then struck the glass. It cracked, then burst with one last smash. I cleared the edge, then pushed him through. His coat was stiff, his fingers blue. I climbed in next, my knees hit steel. The cold had teeth I could not feel. I grabbed the mats, I ripped the headrest. I stuffed the hole, I did my best. Then found the dash, the wires bare. I breathed in sharp, don't fail me here. My fingers shook, I sparked it once. Then life returned mind stutters, jumps, the heater roared. I gasped, I turned, I pulled him back. He didn't stir. I laid us low, the seats pulled flat, the blanket thin, but it was that. I curled around him, chest to back, my coat around what warmth he lacked. I breathed against his temples slow. I rubbed his hands, his fingers froze. I pressed his feet against my thighs. I needed slow. I watched his eyes. Come on, please. Come on, fight. Don't leave me here, not this white night. His skin was cold, his lips were pale. I rocked him soft, I whispered stay. I kissed his ear, I pressed his spine. I said it's warm, you're still all mine. I moved my breath along his face. I wrapped his arms, I took their place. I whispered prayers into his hair. You're not leaving, you'll still be here. The truck was dark, the wind still screamed, but here we were, just breath and steam. I held him tighter, skin to skin, and gave him every heat within. His toes were small beneath my hands. His pulse was slow, but it still ran. I tapped his cheek, I kissed his brow. Come back to me, I've got you now. Count with me, 1 and 2 and 3. You're here, Mika, you're here with me. You don't give up, you know my voice. You never had another choice. 4 and 5, I heard him twitch. His breath went sharp, his fingers itched. He gave a sound, not quite a word, but small, alive, a sound I heard. I pulled him closer, tucked his chin. His breath was wet against my skin. He whispered, Uncle, cold and white. I said, I know, but not tonight. You'll teach me sounds, we'll tap out, eh? You're the squirrel. If I was brave, he'll splash me in the rain we save. You'll blindfold me, I'll lose my sight. You'll trace my face, say, now it's right. You'll find your bird, it's safe, it flew. I'll carve its wing, I'll paint it new. You'll laugh again, you'll breathe, you'll be. Just don't let go, come back to me. I've got you now, just breathe it slow. You're safe, my soul. Don't let go.
It's dark again, but not outside. It's soft and warm and tight and wide. I feel a coat, I smell the smoke, a hum that's low, a breath that chokes. I think I moved, I'm not sure how. My arms don't work, I don't know now. But something shakes around my ear. It's not the cold, it feels like fear. There's something wet against my cheek, a hand that rubs but doesn't speak, a chest that's hard, a sound that shakes. It holds me close, it breaks and breaks. My mouth is dry, my voice won't work. My coat is stiff, my fingers hurt. But there's a breath, a tremble deep, the kind you get when people weep. I don't know why, I don't know who, but arms are tight, they pull me through. I press my face into the sound, the beard, the coat, the steady pound. I think I said it may be small. I think I whispered, please don't fall. Or maybe wait, or I'm not gone, or just the name I leaned upon. I think you're crying just a bit. I feel your throat, I hear it hit. Your nose is rough, you breathe too loud. I want to help, I don't know how. I can't see snow, I can't see trees. I only hear your breath and knees. The blanket's cold, but you're still here. You hold me up, you keep me near. A brave, good thing. You said I fought, you said I screamed, you said I'm proud. I think I am, but now your hands feel like they jam. They're pressing tight, you hold my side. You whisper words and try to hide, but I can tell, I think I know. You're scared I'll go where people go, but I won't go, I won't be gone. You talk too much to leave alone. You love too loud, you grip too tight. You're messy, strong, and made of fight. I think you're crying, that's okay. It means you're here, you're gonna stay. I feel it shake and shake, then still. Your hands like walls, your breath like will. I don't say much, I don't feel right, but I am warm, I'm held tonight. So I'll stay here, I'll press in close and hold the man who holds me most. Your arm went tight, you hid your face, you pulled me place. I felt your back rise up and drop. You didn't shake but couldn't stop. The blanket slid, I felt the air. I moved my hand, it wasn't fair. I touched your chin, I missed a bit, but found your beard and rested it. Your voice said shh, but not to me. It cracked too soft, too broken free. You tried to hum, you tried to mend, but I could tell you couldn't bend. So I just breathed, I let you stay. I tried to talk, but slipped away. Then something right came through the dark. A word I saved, a little spark. I said it small, I said it slow. I said it just so you would know. I whispered, don't be sad. You're here, you stayed, you're not like dead. You didn't speak, your head just dropped. You kissed my hair, your hands near stopped. You pressed my nose against your throat. I found your tears, I held your coat. I didn't go, I think I said I didn't fall. I'm not all red, you held me close, you made me warm. You're not the storm, you're not the storm. You shook again, but soft this time. You tucked me in with hands and spine, and all you said or meant to say was breathe.